So to start this video off, the RAM assist, there's a slight kink in the line, and I'm actually headed out to Hazel right now to grab a line so that I can replace it. I'm pretty sure it's just the fitting, but I was just thinking about it. It's probably going to be better to have a little bit of extra hose offhand so that, you know, if anything ever like this happens again, I can just repair or replace the hose myself, and then have a couple extra fittings laying around so that, you know, I don't have to reuse mine, or I can pre-make the line and then swap it out real quick without having to drain out the entire system. Because the Hydro Boost system is it's self bleeding as long as you pop that cap open from your reservoir every now and again. And then I can re-go through the procedure with y'all on how to bleed the system after you've opened it. But yeah, I'm headed to Hazel. I have to take a back way. So yeah, truck's running pretty good. And they've done a lot of construction out here in White Settlement. I have to pass through here. Like, PSC warehouse is pretty close to me. Pretty close, being like 30 minutes. So it's pretty close to me. I mean, considering it'll save me a little bit on shipping fees, but then I can ask them what they should think, or now that I've actually installed the system, if there's a better way that I could route these hoses or leave them kind of how they are. So yeah, we're just gonna get there. I'll show you all the kit that I get, or if anything else happens. So all right, so we got back from PSC a couple hours ago. Yes, look, I finally have a garage. Look at that. No more parking lot. Okay, so I finally got back from PSC, and I bought 2 extra fittings so that whenever I swap the hose out, I can just swap it real quick without having to flush all of the fluid out of there. And then I'll just clean up, wipe all the oil off, and then top it back off. The 2 fittings that I need right here, 3/8 on 90 degree turn, and then a 3/8 45, and they are serviceable fittings. That's why I decided to get 2 of them, so I can just swap the line out. And then I got a whole new, they only sell it in 6-foot batches, so this was 25, this was 25, this was 50. Now, I could have reused my other fittings, but while I was making it, it would have just been sitting there leaking. So I just decided to go ahead and get 2 more fittings. And I'll show you. All right, so the fitting that was leaking is the lower one on the box. So here's the box right here, right? Here's your pitman arm. This is your drag link right here. So it's been dripping, as you can see, only whenever I turn when the truck is still. Whenever it's moving, it doesn't spew out right here. But point this up and behind so that I can re-zip tie it to my track bar, which is right here. That's what this is. Seems kind of convoluted whenever you look at it, but you get up close, and zip tying it to your track bar is basically how you want to do it. And then this first one right here, you want to leave some space. For a while, this one was leaking, but I just had to tighten it up a little bit. And really, you just want to make sure you double check and sorry for the shake camera, and re-torque it down. I had an issue with that on this as well. I went to a trip down to New Braunfels, and this actually came out, even with the lock washer. It just wasn't torqued down tight enough. So something to look out for. And I'm starting to see a little bit of rust. I have some stuff that I'm gonna hit it with, and then I'm gonna seal it with some undercoating, just on the fittings, not on the actual piston itself. The piston's been holding up pretty okay. The piston's been holding up okay. So like I said, it's this one right here, goes all the way up and under, but I'm gonna make it go over. So I'm gonna make the line real quick, and then yeah, we'll get on with it. So while I'm talking about these, I showed you on the truck, but in the install for the steering arm or the steering system, I did not show you how we made the lines. So one side goes straight into the steering box. Okay, pretty simple. There's a little O-ring in there. You just tighten it down. There's no specs that they give you on how tight to do it, so do it until it's pretty snug, and then you can do some threading, but it has to be oil grade threading on the actual box itself. So that goes on there. On the other side, this is the hose side. So you have to shove the hose. Sorry, one hand here. You have to shove the hose through this end into there, and you have to seat it on that little lip right there. It's kind of hard to see. You have to seat it right there, and then this goes on there like that, and the hose basically gets squished together on these lines. So it goes straight on like that, and then without the hose being in there, it's easier to see. It just twists on. But what that does in here, as long as you seat it on this piece right here, it'll basically squish it to where it doesn't leak anymore. That's the basic way that you make your own hoses. Now, if you have a newer truck, like a 3500 or a 3500 or a 2500, then, or a 2500, sorry, then they make the lines for you, and you can just get it because there's a whole bracket system that they make. But on this truck, I had to weld in a tab that the cylinder went onto. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go do a rough measurement on what I need for the hose, and then I'm gonna cut it and make it, and then I have to wait until my fluid comes in, and then I'll show y'all what it looks like swapping it over. Alright, so I just took my bolt cutters and I cut the line where I thought it would work the best. And this is the side that they ship you with, so it should be okay. The other side, however, I needed, after I cut it, it was kind of frayed, so I had to take a grinder to it. And the reason why you take a grinder to it is because there are little steel bits throughout the cord, and you want it to sit firmly in this right here. Because if it's not seated properly, then you're going to get leaking issues, possibly why I started leaking. Although it's been about 7 months since I put that on there, so I think I just made the line a little bit too tight. But if you see the other side that I cut, if you don't grind it down, it gets kind of messy. But I used the bolt cutter to go straight through as even as I could, and then I just took a little grinder to it, and now we should be good to go. I wanted to show you, so I did it slightly, not all the way, because once you get past a certain point, it gets kind of hard to do and then undo, and then you start messing with the character of the wire. So this one hasn't seated all the way on this, but I need a couple of wrenches, and you could just use a couple of manual wrenches, and then you seat this all the way down until it doesn't go anymore. Okay, so you see that. Let's see. It will twist off, and that's how you know. Just making grooves, and basically when it bottoms out, it won't turn anymore. Then you'll be able to look in there, and just like that, this one is also seated at the bottom. It's getting kind of dark, so I'm going to wrap this up, and then you'll see me filling up or swapping out this hose for the other hose that's on the truck. All right, 4 degrees this morning. Kind of frothy outside. The truck started up. She's stumbling a little bit, but After a few rotations, she got up to speed, and now she's just warming up with the warm-up sequence. Thank God it did not precipitate last night or this morning. Most of it dried up, so just really cold right now. But my hydraulic fluid should be in here in a little bit. I think maybe like 5 or 6 hours. It's supposed to be delivered, and then I need to go get another. I think it's a 5/8, or I might just get an adjustable wrench because the rest of my tools are in storage, and then we'll go ahead and throw that hose on there. It will leak a little bit, but overall I don't think I'll lose that much. I mean, it's been leaking maybe, I don't know, maybe like an ounce or two every time I take her out, and I really haven't driven very many places. But the thing about the hose and the cylinder that helps turn the wheel, it only really gets a lot of pressure if the truck's not moving. So if I'm backing up into a spot, that's mostly when things like that happen, or if it's like a lot of pressure on the driveline. I noticed it presses a lot more with the cylinder if, say, like I'm backing up a hill or turning up like a real steep incline. Other than that, though, regular driving conditions, it's not really used as much. Other than maybe a little bit of extra pressure to make it easier, because when the system is like fully functional and bled out and everything, there's no air bubbles. I can turn my steering wheel with my pinky. So definitely still glad that I got it. But now I have quite a bit of extra line, so I can make 2 extra hoses if I want to. But I'm gonna wait till later on. We'll swap it out, and then we'll get our day started. But I'm headed to the gym right now, so it's not really like it's cold, but it's more like a dry cold. It's not wet, so thankfully the roads are dry. But I'll catch up with y'all here in a little bit, and then we'll go about the rest of the day. And I think my truck is done warming up. It's only been maybe 5 minutes, and with that warm-up sequence and the VGT turbo, this is why I don't want to second-gen swap my truck. I know a lot of people do it for ease of access and things like that, but eventually I'd like to run compounds. But literally 5 minutes in, and she's like basically ready to go. When the trans temp is anything lower than like 50 degrees, 60 degrees starting out, really just baby it until it gets up to that at least 60, 70 degrees before you start really like getting on it. But with the driveline being the way it is, it'll swap out pretty easy, or warm up pretty easy, I should say. But I'm gonna get the day started, and then yeah, we'll continue the video here in just a second. Definitely a frothy day. Overcast, kind of cool. It's kind of cool. We don't really see temperatures like this in DFW too often. I will say the truck, it stumbles a little bit in like the first 5 minutes of driving down the road. But for the most part, as long as you keep your maintenance up and you keep your diesel like full of some type of diesel treatment. I use Howes because if I break down, they'll pay for the tow. But I don't know, this morning it's not too bad. It's like I said, it's like 3 degrees outside with the wind chill and everything. Without the wind, it says it's like 20. But we're still gonna get that driveline swapped out just because we need to get it done. But by tomorrow, it says it should be back up to like 50 degrees. So we'll see how it goes. But there's like little small chances of precipitation up here. Like I said, I'm in like North Fort Worth, so everything cold. Yeah, usually most people don't let their vehicle warm up the way it needs to. Mine's not doing that at all because it warms up pretty quick. But yeah, I mean, look, like I said, I've been driving for 5 minutes, and the trans is already about to be 60. So yeah, the driveline warms up pretty quick. But yeah, we'll catch up with y'all here in a second when I'm at the tool store. All right, so it's all done. The biggest thing, if you're going to be doing this, is you want to make sure that you lube the hose before you screw this in here. It's just so that you give the hose a little bit of room to expand without it actually, so it doesn't rip. It's kind of like an O-ring. You want it to be lubed so that it can seal properly. Kind of the same thing with these hoses. Now I just did this, I tightened it down. There's the box side right here, and then you want to tighten that down right there as far as you can get it. You will feel it stop. I think this one I'm going to tighten down just a hair more. The biggest thing is this is kind of soft metal, so if you put it in a vise, which I would highly recommend, don't squeeze it too tight because you will kind of change the shape of this. But I'm going to tighten this down a smidge more, and then we're going to go find a spot, and I will try to prop the video up to show you how I'm doing it. Alright, so here's my setup. I cut all the zip ties off. And thinking about it now, I could have just ran a 90 degree over there, but I thought it would alleviate some of the pressure if I left it a little bit more loose. But I just have a little bit of plastic, so whenever it drips, I'm going to take this off, and that is a 3/4, and then get the other one on there as fast as I can, because the line isn't going to leak so much from the bottom, but it's going to be coming out of the hose until I stick that other fitting on there and then retighten it. So yeah, I'm going to do that real quick, and hopefully not make too much of a mess, but I have some oil degreaser just in case. So alright, so this is the last little bit. Whenever you have one of these boxes that people don't really talk about, whenever you put a new steering box in, you need to make sure that you bleed the system out. And so for a lot of manufacturers, that just involves going back and forth. But with the cylinder assist kit, there's a little bit of extra hydraulic fluid that goes into the system. So the technique that worked best for me is basically you go from one side, just like this, and for me, almost like you're going to draw a complete circle, but after you get a little bit further to one side, you go a little bit further on the other side. Doing that until you basically drew an entire circle, which you go lock to lock, that's what helped me bleed this system the best, because I think I talked about this in the other video, but I just wanted to mention it again because I think it's like a very important part if you're going to have a robust system on your truck like this. Now, when I did it last time, I had jacks and the truck was up in the air, so I wouldn't create bald spots on my tires. But it's cold enough right now, and like I said, I think maybe 4 or 5 ounces fell out of the system. So I'm literally just doing it to get some of those extra air bubbles out, because the system was already pretty well circulated. But anytime you open up your system, like further downstream from your reservoir, you need to do some type of bleeding procedure so you don't get air bubbles, and then you're about to go make a turn. Either you have a trailer or you're about to make a turn into like going out to eat or any kind of parking lot. And then with these hydro boost systems, your steering wheel will lock up on you. Like, it happened to me 3 times, and I bled the system according to the PSC system, or according to the PSC instruction manual, and it still happened to me. So, like I said, this is what I follow, and then I also posted it. I posted the procedure on my YouTube page if you want to go look at that. Anytime you're doing a steering box, I would highly recommend doing this method instead, because it works every time and not just some of the time. So yeah, like I said, I'm doing a little bit faster of a version because, like I said, the whole system wasn't drained out. It was just like maybe 3 or 4 ounces. But yeah, we're almost done. We're gonna clean up, and then after I've done this a couple more times, I'll show you how the system looks, and then we'll call it. All right, so you see how I'm bundled up. So the wind picked up a little bit, but it actually got warmer, surprisingly. It is now 13 degrees out here instead of 3. But I finished up, made a small mess, but most of it is like mineral oil based, so it won't stain the concrete the way that like regular oil will. So most of it, after it dries up, pretty much it disappears. And whatever doesn't disappear, I'll just put some cat litter on it and then scrub it with some soap. Alright, so this is the new direction. This is the new direction that I'm running these. I aimed them a little bit higher so that that right there wouldn't pit into them again. I am still going to use a zip tie right here, because all of this from this point right here, this point down is going to articulate up and down as I go down the road. But what's not is that up there and these. So those being flush against there, not necessarily a bad thing, but I think I'm only going to zip tie those two together and then maybe one right here, at least until I go down the road and I see how everything moves. Now I could have used a 90-degree there, but I didn't, so that the line would come up and have a little bit more room, since this side occasionally falls further down than the driver's side does, and that's just because of the way the suspension's articulation. So if you go over like a rock or something, then this side's going to go up and down differently than this side will, which is why I think they included this fitting instead of another 90-degree. But yeah, so that's how everything turned out, and we're gonna go down the road. I sprayed everything with parts cleaner, so that's why it looks all shiny right now. But I tightened everything down, and nothing's leaking. Obviously there was a small leak, but nothing's leaking. Now if it's not cold and you have to do this yourself, like on the trail or something, it was actually really easy. And the fittings that I have, the other ones that I took off of here, I see what happened to them, which is why I decided to angle those the way I did this time. And the rubbing on the metal is not going to do anything because there's nothing sharp on the frame right here. So yeah, this is how it goes. Like I said, I'm going to add one zip tie right here to keep those together. And after that, you want to pretty much just make sure that nothing else can pinch it. All of this looking basically exactly like this has lasted me 7 months, and literally I think it was just the angle that this one was whenever it was coming down that led it to be, I think it crimped on the inside, but we're gonna see that here after a while once I get home and get warmed up. Yeah, my hands are turning kind of pink, so we're gonna end it here, and then I'll add it to the next video when I reveal something awesome that I think is going to help with this drift season, if we can get to a few of them. Got kind of a busy year ahead, so we'll see how it goes, but thank you for watching. This is a PSC system. There you can see it right there. And this is the cylinder assist. Like I said, it barely started leaking, and that's pretty much the only issue that I've had with it. I'm going to top off the reservoir and then take it for a test drive, and we'll go about our day. But thanks for watching. God bless. And y'all stay